So it is nice to just have a community, even a virtual one, with which to practice. So just as you settle, just maybe appreciating that. You can close your eyes or just lower your gaze, feeling the breath moving in the body. How are you feeling right now? If you're in the same time zone as me, it's morning. And there's the feelings that come along with morning energy. Maybe it's later in the day for you. Part of our mindfulness practice is to just kind of stay on top of our energetic patterns during the day, to know, oh, this is a time when I get a little wound up, or this is a time when I get drowsy or dull minded, dull headed. As we know that the energetic states are also can be risk factors for relapse or for you know, unskillful behavior or simply difficult mental states. And we're out of balance, too much or too little energy. And we could say that one of the goals of meditation is to balance our energy. Not too high, not too low. But before we can even see that kind of balancing, we just have to be aware of what our energy is at a particular moment. Again, connecting with the breath, breathing, being aware of the body, being aware of your feelings, breathing with, breathing with feelings, breathing with sensations. I realize that a term like energy can seem kind of vague. It's really referring to multiple aspects of mind and body that tend to interact. The most obvious is the sense of energy in the body, of feeling energetic or feeling a lack of energy. So awake or sleepy, perhaps we could say. But then there's this other more emotional level where anxiety is associated with high energy, depression associated with low energy. So those are emotional energies. There's also mental energy, in that in those high energy, anxious states, the thoughts tend to fly out, spin out. The low energy states, they tend to be more sluggish. And then what we might call the psychological energy, those high energy states, the anxiety turns into fears. So the thought patterns are not just rapid, but they are associated with fearful, nervous thoughts. And again, the other end of that spectrum is the low energy, depressive feelings that manifest in negative, depressing thoughts, projections. We could say that both of those extremes contain projections. That is, we are imagining a future that parallels the energetic state. We think, oh, this feeling. We don't maybe even think about the feeling. We just think, oh, things are bad. Things are going to be bad. Right? Yeah, things are going to go wrong. I'm going to be miserable. I find myself laughing just at this instruction because it's so familiar to me. So this is why I think it's helpful to try to identify what sort of very simple primal energetic state you're in, particularly when difficult mind states arise, to realize, oh, this is really just the manifestation, the expansion of a kind of energy. It's not some permanent state or some predictive state. It's just a feeling or a set of feelings. It's going to pass. It's not real in the sense that it's defining some reality. It exists now in a transient form, but it's just coming and going, conditioned, created by circumstances, will change due to changing circumstances. So in one way, we can apply mindfulness to viewing the construction of mental states through all these energetic elements. We typically, maybe we start at the end of that construction with the full-blown mind-body state. But as we sit with the breath, with the body, the mind, and as we settle, we can arrive back at the more root, the root energy. Connecting with the body on this primal level. Feeling our body as a field of energy. And breathing with that. So I guess I stumbled into energy as a theme this morning. I don't know exactly. Well, it partly came because I've been struggling with waking up in the morning, or how I feel when I get up, and kind of realized that it had to do with this medication I was taking. I just didn't take it last night, and I woke up feeling, hey, wait, this is good. Get rid of those drugs. And so I just felt very different energetically. So I guess I was thinking about energy this morning. But it's an interesting topic in terms of kind of our practice and really the whole path, not to mention recovery. That and actually in the 7 factors of enlightenment or 7 factors of awakening, energy is the 3rd factor. Mindfulness, investigation, energy. And what that means is so I don't have an answer for what that means exactly. What are they talking about? Typically, what we say if we talk about the 7 factors of enlightenment as a developmental process. So just to give you all 7 there, in the order they're usually delivered: mindfulness, investigation, energy, rapture or joy, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. So there's this kind of energetic arc in the 7 factors of enlightenment. The energy kind of rises, like starting with mindfulness at kind of a neutral place. The investigation is said to kind of stimulate energy. So it's in fact one of the things that's suggested as an antidote to sleepiness, is to increase your investigation, meaning like look more closely, pay closer attention. And so out of that then arises energy, and then rapture or joy is actually a very physical state. That the Pali word is piti, which I know many of you have heard me use that term before. And then after the rapture, then we have tranquility, which is then starting to settle, and concentration and equanimity, which kind of then brings you almost back to mindfulness, if we could say. Like mindfulness is kind of a balanced quality, and then the equanimity is obviously the term. It includes the word equal energy, balanced energy. So we can see that it plays this role. So it's what exactly is that role? So first of all, it's another place where it shows up, where the term energy, virya, wow, I pulled that out. Didn't know I knew that one. Is in what's called the 5 spiritual faculties, or 5 spiritual powers. Here again, I mean, the lists, I'm not putting out the list for you to learn lists, but to see kind of the relationships. And that list includes mindfulness, energy, concentration, wisdom, and faith. Sorry. So in that list, again, mindfulness kind of has this middle role, this sort of balancing role, and wisdom and faith are said to balance each other, and then energy and concentration. So one of the things that I point out to people is that when they're meditating and they start to get sleepy, even though that is a hindrance, it also can be a sign that you're getting concentrated. So like the positive side of it, right? The good news. And to recognize, oh, I'm getting concentrated, but there's not enough energy to balance the calming. So, because it makes perfect sense, right? If we think of concentration not so much as a mental state, but a physical, a calming state, and like stress release and settling, it makes sense that, that would kind of lower the energy. And to stay focused and aware, we need to have something positive. Now, and unless you're trying to fall asleep, right? So, people encounter this a lot on meditation retreats. The first couple days, you're typically really falling asleep a lot. You're settling, but you're not able to, you don't have enough energy. And it's not that what do I need to get more energy? Let me go get another cup of coffee. It's not that you force energy, but that, as I like to say, mindfulness, if you keep practicing mindfulness and investigation, that has an energetically balancing quality to it. So eventually the mindfulness will actually arouse enough energy to balance with the concentration. So all of that is to kind of just frame energy as its kind of its role in the meditation process, and the factors of awakening. But what I was trying to get into this morning in the guided meditation was, first of all, as I was talking about energy, I realized, here's this word I'm using, and it's like, what do I really mean? And if you're familiar with my work, one of the things I'm very determined to do is to not just drop terms out there that like sound spiritual and then like let it like you're supposed to know what that means. It's really important to me that we kind of take apart this language and understand, what are we talking about when we say energy, and why is that important? So energy works on these different levels. There is obviously a physical energy. You're awake or you're sleepy, you're balanced. And then there is this way in which those energies manifest more emotionally, so that we have the anxiety versus depression as the poles. And of course, I'm talking about the poles, and really where we all would rather be is somewhere in between, right? Where we're calm and clear-minded. We're not, falling asleep. We're not in a dull state. We're not being swept away with anxiety. And then there's as I was describing, like the mental states, the psychological states that go along with those emotional energies, right? That's when I get into this anxious state, that then I start projecting and thinking anxious thoughts, right? And that creates this whole, can be this whole swirl, and it can really, as we know, like that can really spin out of control, particularly because it's so energetic that we just kind of get caught in it. And then the other end of that spectrum, again, is the depressive thoughts and the negative projections and negative self-talk. We're just the dullness, and that's particularly difficult to get out of, because it's such a slog that you don't have enough energy sometimes to break out of the just like dullness of it. And that again creates this, both of those poles create sort of holistic states, that are sort of all-encompassing, because what's going on is there's a physical feeling, there's an emotional feeling, and there's a mental projection out of that. So that creates like your whole state, like everything is infused with this energy, if you will, that is sort of defining your reality, so that it becomes very real, so that a panic attack or a clinical depressive state is so enveloping, that it seems to sort of define your reality, and more importantly, define you at that moment. You're defining yourself as this energy. this emotional, physical, mental energy. And so we have this thing called mindfulness that we bring to bear on this. And we can deconstruct it from the mental states back down into the physical states. It's one of the things that we do in meditation, right? When we sort of note our thoughts, planning, worrying, self-hatred, start seeing, what am I saying to myself? So we bring mindfulness to the self-talk. And I think that's one of the most common sort of ways that mindfulness is taught. And it's meant to be an antidote to that self-talk by showing you that it's just words in your mind and giving you the opportunity to question what's showing up in the mind. Oh, wait, is this really true? What is going on? Why am I thinking this? Where's this coming from? Right? Because then it's like, oh, I'm thinking this because that person said that to me and it got me upset. And now, or it reminded me of, and oh, my mother always said that, and whatever, right? The story. And then we have the cognitive behavioral approach to this, which is the direct challenging, asking, what is the reality of this thought? And actually, I don't know how many of you have done cognitive behavioral therapy, but the original way it's designed is it's kind of like an inventory in 12 steps where you have columns. What is the thought? And then how much do I believe it? And then what's the counter thought that I can get? Like, can I question this? That's an interesting process that was very helpful for me when I first engaged with it. And it's something that I continue to internalize. That the key question being, is there another? What would be the argument against this thought? That's a really helpful thing. You're like, I'm such an idiot. Well, what would be the argument against that thought? Well, I have a master's degree, so idiots don't usually get master's degrees. So maybe there's that, And so, that's a very almost mechanical way, but really useful way of applying our mindfulness to these thought patterns. And then, as I'm, if I'm deconstructing now, then it's to go back to, but the feeling, because the thought, sometimes the cognitive behavioral approach actually diffuses the feeling, but enough times it's like there's a feeling that's just there, it just comes in. And sometimes that's because we're so conditioned, to be in these certain mind states. They're so familiar to us. Because we don't really get to this point of this kind of self-examination typically until we've been alive for a few decades, where we've been practicing all these negative, beliefs and practicing being with these feelings. And so the next stage of applying mindfulness to this is, what does this feel like? And this is a really critical moment in practice, in practice, because we don't want to feel. The reason we have been thinking about it, and the reason we get caught in these things, is because underneath a lot of it, there's this avoidance of the actual feeling. So that's where we see how there's this direct connection to our addiction here. There's the feelings that we've probably had, since childhood or adolescence, that have, become very deeply ingrained in us, but we've never really been with them, because as soon as they arose, because we didn't have the tools to be with them as young people, as youths, what we did was we found ways of avoiding them. And for addicts, the way we did that was through our addiction. But also one of the ways we did it was through thinking. Many things that we do. And it's food, sex, drugs, alcohol, work, shopping, just the list of things that we do to avoid exercising, TVs, phones, all the things we do to avoid actually just stopping. What am I feeling right now? So it doesn't feel safe. It's very, there's a lot of resistance to this. So this has to be, even to do it requires this kind of courage and strong intentionality. And I would say generally some support as well, because it's often enough, these aren't just casual, unpleasant feelings. They can be trauma-based. They can be, deeply embedded in us. And so maybe it's not safe to just I'll just open and feel this. So it has to be done with care and with self-compassion and with a certain amount of wisdom that we sort of know what we're getting into. So maybe starting something like this with a therapist or with a counselor or a meditation teacher. I started this process in meditation on retreat. And even then it was really difficult and took a long time to sort of get sorted out how to do it. In any case, that's the second stage of working back from the cognitive down into the emotional and feeling. And so then the emotional state is it's difficult to even define it. It's got a physical element to it. So we're starting to go into the body when we do that. It's not something separate from the body, but it's also not separate from the mind, because as soon as we step in there, the mind wants to jump in and comment, and at the same time, the body might react. This is, you can get anxious, because you're just to turn to that feeling, it might make you nervous, or it might make you more depressed, depending upon sort of, again, the inclinations. And so there's this real need then to ground ourselves with the body at that stage and breathe with that. That's where we have this term, breathe with. And breathing with means that we are aware of the breath as we are feeling the feeling. And why that's important is that that connection to the breath reminds us that we are right here, right now. We aren't out there. We aren't in our childhood. We aren't under a threat. We aren't somewhere out in the future where everything falls apart. We're just right here in this body, and it's unpleasant, but it's okay. The breath is kind of that okay thing. And so then there is also, along with working with the breath at this stage, which I consider to be really the most critical stage of this process, is to bring in right view. So this means we're actually bringing in thoughts, but they aren't, the fear-based thoughts and the triggered thoughts. They are the Dharma thoughts, right? So that it's to see this experience through the lens of Dharma. And this is a critical piece of all Dharma practice, is to remember, what's going on here? I feel the impermanent nature of this experience. And I feel it because I'm feeling on the physical level, connecting with the visceral, energetic quality, because energy, by its nature, is in flow, is in movement. Energy is never static. I rarely say never, and I might have to correct that at some point, but for now I'm just going to say that's the case. Energy isn't static, and that's kind of its nature. It's in flow, and so by feeling it and remembering the Dharma teaching, this is impermanent. that helps to undermine and diffuse the fearful thoughts that might want to cut in. And we're able to stay with, okay, it's okay. Rather than going with that thought, what's going on, what's happening, I don't like this, I need to fix this. I can go with, this is okay, I'm okay, it's going to pass. And so we start with that thought about impermanence, this Dharma lens of impermanence. We remember dukkha, everything is unsatisfactory, this is unpleasant, oh, I'm experiencing dukkha. This isn't, the end of the world. This isn't that there's something wrong uniquely with me. This is normal. The Buddha talked about it, that there's this unsatisfactory quality in life, this disturbing quality in many experiences. Oh, okay. It's impermanent and it's unpleasant and it's not me. So I got the three characteristics in there. And then I would say the other really helpful piece, which is more of a modern approach, is the self-compassion approach. Like, that goes with the dukkha, that goes with the suffering part. Like, this is difficult, but you know what? I'm okay, and yeah, I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be cared for. Because the tendency of the mind is to jump in with a negative self-thought here, right? This pain. That's what's wrong with me. Why do I have this stuff? Rather, what if I approach it as, wow, you're having a difficult time. I care about you. I want to take care of you. And this is what I'm going to do for you to take care of you. Breathe with this. Settle with this. It's okay. And that just comforting self-compassion thoughts. So we have that working cognitively, right? And then at the same time, we're going more deeply into the body. So that now we're actually going past the personal, that we're letting go of the personal, but even this idea that this is anxiety or this is depression or this is some particular condition, as when we drop into the body, we drop below the verbal. So we're stepping out of the perceptual realm that names it and identifies it, because it turns out that even the thought, oh, anxiety, oh, depression, those thoughts, those names that we put on those states actually reinforce the states. And so our mindfulness practice gets us down to this primal level where it's just energy. And returning to Kevin's topic for the day, it's just energy. You gave it a name, then you thought about it, and you let the energy carry you into this place. I'm going to ask you to go back, go deeper into it, and just sit with it as energy, as flow, as something that's just moving through space and time, and exists only in the present moment, outside of space and time. Actually exists only as this force, this life force. So what you might want to connect that with, and one of the things that can really help you to hold this and to work with this very intentionally, is the two classic energy practices: the energy of pranayama, which is breath, using the breath with yoga, or the energy of qigong, which is using something less obviously physical, but is also an energetic practice. So those practices help us to work with these energies on this pure level that doesn't have the content of story. And they're very much, designed to balance energy, which is the place we want to get to, right? Away from the extremes of the tension and stress, or the dullness and negativity. So, this is, I guess, a culmination for me talking about this today of a lot of things that I've been thinking about and trying to talk about for quite a while. And for some reason, maybe thanks to not taking Lipitor last night, I am able to, it sort of came together this morning. So thank you for listening. I hope that was helpful, and I'm open to hearing any thoughts or reflections that anyone has. I just have to say that that felt really good. Sometimes it just like, that felt like really nice. We'll delete that from the recording, but just kidding. Deborah, hello. You're still muted, unfortunately. Keep trying.
I'm having mouse issues.
There you go.
No, thank you very much. It's something that I've been working on for the last couple of months, and you put it very clearly, and I thank you immensely. It feels good to me too.
Good. Yeah, I think as much as we can, mentally figure these things out so that we can then apply the ideas to our experience. Yeah, it can clarify things. Susan, hello.
Hi. I also just wanted to say thank you. I've been struggling a little with the unsatisfactory nature of life at times, and I agree with Deborah that that was just a really clear and helpful reminder that it's not personal and it's not
Yeah,
permanent, and that's
yeah,
it just unbelievably helpful because I get into my addict brain and
yeah,
it wants to take me straight to hopelessness, and this is it forever. That's how you're going to feel. Boom, the end.
yeah,
Give up now, so that joint's sitting right over there. I'm sure that lady would let you have it, whatever. So
yeah.
thank you very, very much.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about very deeply conditioned forces. It's why we have to work really hard. One of the I mentioned that I met with Ajahn Pasano last week, and at some point, I'm transcribing the talk, and I haven't gotten to this, or the conversation, but I haven't gotten to this one line where he said something about effort. And I often kind of talk about like dialing back effort. And he was like, sometimes you need to dial back effort, but sometimes you need to really make a strong effort. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm going to have to think about that. But this is kind of why, because it's just not easy. And these things are so persistent that and for me, again, it's not so much about making a particular really strong effort in a particular moment, but it's the sustaining the effort. It's the showing up for my energy, for my mind states day by day, minute by minute, breath by breath.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Debbie here.
Oh, hi, Deb.
Hi. Thank you so much. This was so beautiful. I felt like I was on this infinite journey through the forest,
Mm,
and um, it just made everything so accessible and reminding me, can I just check in? Where am I right now in the forest, right?
mm,
Where am I? What part am I in? And can I just be aware of it, get curious about it, and open up to it, and take that pause, right? That space and rest, and to know that I'm not ever like totally just arriving anywhere. It's a continuum, but
yeah.
I can apply it to everything. It was beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to listen to this one again and again.
You know what? I know, because we have to kind of track our energy through the day, right? And like and sort of organize our day around our energy. Like I was just reading this thing this morning in the science section of the New York Times, which is one of my favorite sections when that comes on Tuesdays. It was talking about doing a little weight training, and it was saying, and it suggested that you don't plan on doing it in the evening because usually people don't have as much energy in the evening, and then they lose their, oh yeah, I'll meditate tonight. It's like, or I'll get to that tonight. It's like, no, you're probably not going to be in a state to do it then. So, hello, Devin. Good morning.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Kevin. That was really peaceful for me. I've been very fixated. My addict's brain has been very fixated lately on this relationship that didn't work out. And we're writing letters to each other right now, and I can't decide if it's like me trying to do too much in my own will by like continuing to stay in contact with this person, or if I need to just like give it over to my higher power. And just what you just explained about like every morning I wake up and I journal, and I always start off so strong. I'm like, I'm going to give this situation over to my higher power, like I'm going to hand it over. I have no control of the situation. And then slowly throughout the day, I'm like fixating on like getting anxious about, what's going to happen. Why isn't the letter here? Like freaking out. So it's like, it's crazy how I can start off so strong and slowly like deteriorate throughout the day.
Right.
But yeah, it's nice in those moments to just, I guess, sit with it. So it's a good reminder to feel it.
Yeah. Thanks, Devin. Good luck with that. It's one of the most difficult things, is relationship breakups. I break up with my wife every couple days in my mind, and so it's I just, as I was talking about this and just what you're talking about, I think about the old HALT acronym, the hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And it's not even about the specifics of those things. It's just noticing that there's all these different things that get us, right? If I can be hungry, I can be angry, lonely, tired, there can be another dozen things that are mind states that like get me triggered and throw me off. So just tracking all that. Marina, hi.
Hi. Good
Nice
morning.
to-
Good evening.
Nice
It's
to see
kind of
you.
evening for me. Good
Yeah.
to see you too. Thank you for today. I've been gone from this meeting. I've been gone from every single meeting in recovery space, and I actually moved to this mindfulness recovery healing center in Portugal where I'm working.
Oh,
And it's so funny.
is that
Have
the what is it?
New Life?
New Life. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used
The-
to work for them in Thailand.
Oh, you did. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping to get there.
I was
sometime,
just
yeah.
thinking when we started this call, I was like, I wonder if I can actually convince people here to actually fly Kevin here for a weekend retreat, because I'm actually in a program management staff. I was a counselor in Thailand, but here I'm kind of like subbing for different roles.
Uh-huh.
But what's interesting is that here the experience, as well as in Thailand, is so mind-blowing to me that even living in mindfulness community where everybody's sober, everybody's going deep, everybody's introspective, you can't just be well just because you're
Right.
actually here,
Right.
especially if you're a staff in a center like this. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen at all.
Nope.
And I have to come up with ways where I find the nurturing for myself. And I realize I have to join a meeting like this or hear a talk like this, right? And this transition, I came here 2 weeks ago this time, and it's been so difficult. And I've noticed what you talked about today, that there's a huge need to really not define in words what's going on for me, but really to be in the body. And it's super difficult, but it gets worse if I define it, because then I get into the analysis and the story, and it must be because of this or because of that. And it's actually just, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, there's a change of weather that hits me strongly, there's overwhelming learning new things. So it's been really difficult and challenging, but without actually pointing out that has to mean this or that, or
Right.
putting it in words, it's much more helpful. I think it would be worse if I was just to analyze this, why things are the way that they are.
That's really interesting and helpful too, because noticing sort of the context of things, which you could say is analyzing it a little bit, like you're saying, oh well, it's a new thing and the weather's changing, but those are like more, or they're less personal things that sometimes we forget that there's all these factors involved in our mind states and our emotional states, and a lot of times we kind of narrow down like our definition. Well, and it all comes down to like it's my fault or it's something wrong with me, or it's something that's sort of like very personal and that's not giving yourself any credit, or like sort of giving yourself a break on like, wow, this is a difficult situation. No wonder I'm having a difficult time. A simple idea like that can be so relieving. Like, oh yeah, it's okay. Of course, it's tough. And
comparison for me, but with myself, is the worst. It's like how they say in AA, comparing somebody else's outside with my inside. It's that my inside and outside don't really match, because outside everything seems so romantic about my life and really great. And then I compare 5 years ago, this was easier process. 3 years ago, I was like this. Why am I like that now? And it's killing me. Like when I go that way. So yes, very thankful to be here. And I will write down your email that is here now in chat, and I'll contact you, and will try to organize something. I would be actually very happy.
Yeah. If my wife and I might spend some time in Ireland next year, like maybe a couple of months. And then it would be really easy just to hop over there, Ryanair, in about an hour, I've been wanting to connect with that. So, because I was invited to Thailand years ago, and I hate long haul flights, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, then Europe will be easier when you're here. It's much easier.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Marina. And Teresa. Okay, I'm running after post.
Oh well, I don't have to talk.
No. I was just saying I like to just. I'm fine with hanging out and just acknowledge to people that I understand if people need to go. Like I can see some people have needed to drop out, but we're here and love to keep going.
I just wanted to say that this idea of energy is very helpful to sort of objectify all of these feelings. And like a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I am low. I'm like, oh, I'm alone. I just wake up in an anxious state, even though my husband's right there, and it's like,
right.
I should be comforted, but I'm not. And when you're talking about the body and physical, it's like, that's maybe where it's at, because I've been having a trouble with my gut lately. And the doctor I'm seeing is saying, your gut really has a lot to do with your mind and your emotions. And once I get up, I start to do things and I start to get better and happier. And by like right now, I'm great. But why? First thing in the morning, it's conditioning. And so this is really helpful to go, okay, maybe it's your gut, just get up and go. So this is really good. And I just want to say one more thing about the second step, came to believe, power greater to restore me to sanity. This is like restoring yourself to sanity, but I've never found that step to really, this talk is more helpful than saying came to believe. I just have to say that.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. Just don't drink or use no matter what. Doesn't matter what you believe. Just believe that you don't need to drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, you guys. Really lovely to hang out. I feel good. I knew that I would. Sorry, starting to quote James Brown is probably not wise. So what have we got? Nothing special going on beyond this. I'll be back on Friday evening. I do have a day-long scheduled at Spirit Rock in December, but I think we can hold off on promoting that. So, yeah, track your energy, notice your energy, don't take it personally. And I hope everyone has a great day.